Morning all. All right. So, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Tuesday. It is April the 1st. It is known as April Fool's Day. Nothing joking related on me, nothing joking related on the board. Some years I do it, most years I don't. And so yeah, there we are. Anyways, jumping into news of the day. At the top of the board, Ryan Leonard. So I did see and interact with the comment section bit on this yesterday. Ryan Leonard's debuting tonight for the Washington Capitals. All the scouting reports are this guy is a fantastically talented forward who also is a player with a high compete level. And sounds like he'll fit right into the lineup. So he had 61 goals in 78 games over the last 2 years at Boston College. Those numbers are ridiculous for NCAA. And he is penciled in to play on a line tonight with Protas and Strome. That's how much the Capitals think of him. It is, I understand there are people concerned with what this might do to the team's chemistry, but honestly, historically, and I've been thinking about making a video on this between now and the playoffs, just trying to think about which players to focus on. But historically, when a player joins a team from the NCAA and gets a chance to get in the lineup, it doesn't usually throw off the team's chemistry. And in Washington's case, if they thought there was a chance it would throw off team chemistry, I don't think he'd be in the lineup. But he is scheduled to play tonight. Gabe Perreault is practicing with the Rangers. They're putting him on their second line, too, according to practice. He's on a line with Lafreniere and JT Miller. So, clearly, Perreault is going to get every chance to succeed from the New York Rangers, who do not play tonight. One player who is not signing a contract with the team that owns his rights, Trey Augustine, goaltender, has apparently informed the Detroit Red Wings he will be returning to Michigan State for the 2025-2026 season, and then we'll see if the Red Wings are able to sign him next year. In the Red Wings case, I mean, do you want to get Augustine into the system as soon as possible? Probably, but in that he's a goaltender, letting him have another year at university, probably perfectly fine. Augustine is one with a pretty high ceiling too, so the Wings would love to have got him signed, but he does have that right to return to the NCAA for another year. Matvei Michkov, who is playing so well since the Tortorella firing. I also want to say, too, though, he was playing well going into Tortorella being fired, but it's really gone to another level recently. So over his last 6 games, he has 4 goals and 7 assists. So, yes, Lane Hudson very likely wins the Calder, but I think the argument for Michkov is getting louder and rightfully so. Matvei's been playing a lot better as the season's rolled along, clearly getting more comfortable with North American hockey. So even if he doesn't win the Calder this year, which is, again, not the end of the world, he is very likely to be a big point producer going forward for the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's good news there. Brady Tkachuk won't play tonight. He's hurt, so they've recalled Cruikshank from the AHL. You know, with Tkachuk, I've been wondering if he's been playing hurt too, because his points totals have really nosedived recently. So I would not be surprised if he has some sort of a nagging injury that's out there. I think at the start of the last game he was dropped to the third line. So Tkachuk being out of the lineup, if that gets him right, it gets him right. But either way, Ottawa's been able to keep themselves above the playoff line, even with Tkachuk not playing his absolute best, which is bad news for everybody because come playoff time, I have a feeling Tkachuk will probably take his game to that next level, his name being Tkachuk and all. Pete DeBoer, after last night's win over Seattle, the second straight win over Seattle in Seattle, DeBoer says the team is still hoping to catch the Winnipeg Jets at the top of the division, and you've got to have a goal between now and the end of the season, I think. I think that's important. I don't think Dallas catches Winnipeg, but at least the attempt is there. It reminds me of 2018 where you had Nashville number 1 in the standings, Winnipeg number 2 in the standings in the entire National Hockey League, and they were both out of the Central. Maybe we'll see that with Winnipeg and Dallas this year. The Toronto Maple Leafs could clinch playoffs tonight without hitting the ice at all. They do not have to hit the ice at all. All that has to happen is if Montreal loses against Florida in regulation, or Columbus loses, actually not even in regulation, if Montreal loses in any fashion at all, or if Columbus loses against Nashville, again in any fashion at all, Toronto makes the playoffs. So we know Toronto's going to clinch eventually. They may very well clinch tonight. And again, they don't even have to play. So maybe after tonight's games are done, maybe for the review, maybe I wear a Toronto jersey even though they didn't play if they clinch a playoff spot. Actually, the jerseys I've been wearing for the reviews are recently they've been teams that are not likely to make the playoffs anyways. I feel like once we get to the playoffs, yeah, those jerseys are going to get used a lot. So I've been trying to focus on the teams that aren't necessarily going to make it. Utah. So Ryan Smith pledging to help build new arenas around the state of Utah. Up to $10 million, basically up to $500,000 per rink. So this would hopefully help to build 20 rinks in the state. And that would help with the whole grassroots, getting kids into the game, training them up and everything. So I think this is a good initiative. I think Ryan Smith's head's in the right place on this. And so, yeah, $10 million, up to at least $10 million. I would think that there's going to be some people taking him up in that offer. And for the state of Utah, that's great. I also want to throw out there, too, though, that Arizona, so there's no team in Arizona, but the Vegas Golden Knights had a big, helping kids learn to play the game kind of initiative going on. I think it was last weekend. So Vegas is still doing its best there. And Utah has also been trying to woo hockey fans in Arizona who currently do not have a National Hockey League team to root for. So I like all that grassroots stuff. I think getting kids on the ice and getting them playing hockey is great. And so good on Ryan Smith for trying to expand that within the state that the team is now residing in. All right. Or within Utah. Okay, so tonight we've got 10 games in the National Hockey League because it's Tuesday. Now, what's funny is last night's games we had 5 goals, 3 goals, 5 goals, 4 goals, and 2 of those games went to a shootout, so it's very quiet. I expect tonight to not be quiet. When it's been busy in the NHL, generally it's been higher scoring. It's weird. So we've got 4 games starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, 1.5 an hour later, 1.5 an hour after that. And then we've got 4 games that start later on in the evening. So it is nicely spread out. Starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Washington Capitals in Boston against the Bruins. Washington 47-17-9 overall. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. They've lost their last 2 in regulation. They are 9 points ahead of the Carolina Hurricanes. Boston 30-35-9 overall. They're 2-7-1 in their last 10 games. They've lost their last 5 in regulation. Boston coming off of a brutal road trip, and they're now 8 points out of a playoff spot. They're not going to make it. But either way, they're 8 points back currently. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start. Florida in Montreal against the Habs. Florida 44-26-3 overall. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They are 3 points back of Toronto atop that division and tied with Tampa for second. So Florida's had their struggles. The good news being that Matthew Tkachuk's back on the ice and started skating. The problem is we don't have an actual time frame for when he's going to come back. The hope is that it'll be during the first round. Montreal 34-30-9 overall. 4-3-3 in their last 10 games. They're tied with New York in that last wild card spot. So getting themselves a point or getting themselves a win tonight, really, really key for them if they want to hold off the New York Rangers. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Buffalo in Ottawa against the Sens. Buffalo 31-36-6 overall. Ottawa 39-28-6 overall. So quite different seasons. Although over their last 10, Buffalo's 6-4, Ottawa's 6-3-1. Buffalo finds themselves 9 points out of a playoff spot. Ottawa finds themselves pretty entrenched in that number 1 wildcard spot. 7 points back of both Tampa and Florida. 7 points ahead of both Montreal and the Rangers. So, yeah, they're the number 1 wild card. They're just waiting to see who wins the division, and whoever wins the division gets to play Ottawa in the first round. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start. Nashville in Columbus against the Blue Jackets. Nashville 27-39-8 overall. They're 2-7-1 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row in regulation. They are, of course, eliminated from the playoffs. Columbus 33-30-9 overall. They're 3-6-1 in their last 10, but they're only 2 points back of a playoff spot. So if you're a Columbus fan, you're hoping for a win tonight and Montreal to lose in regulation and jump right back into a tie for that last playoff spot with Montreal and the New York Rangers. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Tampa in New York against the Islanders. The Islanders hoping to tighten up that race for the last place or last wild card spot in the East. Tampa Bay 43-25-5 overall. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. And they are 3 points back at Toronto, as previously mentioned, tied with Florida On the Islanders side, they're 32, 31, and 10 overall. They're 3, 4, and 3 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row in regulation. 3 points back of a playoff spot in the East. So for Tampa, they're on a bit of a winning streak, and Florida's dropped a bit. So Tampa's going to hope to jump up to at least second spot and maybe just find themselves 1 point back at Toronto with and obviously 1 point back since Toronto's not playing tonight. So Tampa can make this a little closer. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Detroit in St. Louis against the Caps. For Detroit, 34, 33, and 6 is their record. They're 4 and 6 in their last 10. They're still just 3 points back of a playoff spot. A lot of teams in the running for that last playoff spot. St. Louis 40, 28, and 7 overall. They're 9 and 1 in their last 10. They've won 9 in a row. They're looking to make it 10. If they make it 10, that's when I do a video on St. Louis's winning streak. 1 point back of Minnesota for that number 1 wild card spot. So Minnesota gets the point against New Jersey last night, but by not getting 2, that means that St. Louis can jump them in the standings. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. The Calgary Flames will be looking to maybe not need the comeback tonight. Hope to get the win straight out over Utah. Calgary 35, 26, and 12 overall. They're 5, 3, and 2 in their last 10. They're 5 points back of a playoff spot. Whereas Utah 33, 29, and 12 overall. They're 5, 4, and 1 in their last 10. They are 9 points back of that final wild card spot currently occupied by St. Louis. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. The Edmonton Oilers, if they're going to make any kind of run at all, it needs to start tonight in Vegas against the Golden Knights. The Oilers, 42, 26, and 5 overall. They're 5, 4, and 1 in their last 10. They're in third spot in the division. They're 7 points ahead of Calgary. So in the event that Calgary struggles to catch St. Louis, there's always the outside chance of catching Edmonton. I don't think it happens. But if Calgary wins tonight in Utah, and if Edmonton loses in regulation in Vegas, who knows? Vegas 45, 20, and 8 overall, 7, 1, and 2 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row, have the Vegas Golden Knights, and they're now 7 points ahead of LA atop the division. So that one could be fun tonight. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific start. San Jose in Anaheim against the Ducks. Battle of California. These teams normally don't like each other very much. San Jose, 20, 44, and 9 overall. They're 3 and 7 in their last 10. They've lost their last 2. The Anaheim Ducks, 32, 33, and 8 overall. They're 4, 5, and 1 in their last 10 and find themselves 15 points back of a playoff spot. Almost mathematically eliminated, not quite there yet. 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific start. Winnipeg in LA against the Los Angeles Kings. Winnipeg, 51, 19, and 4 overall. They're 7 and 3 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row, and they're 4 points ahead of Dallas. So if you're a Stars fan, you're also cheering for the Kings tonight. The Kings, 41, 23, and 9 overall. They're 7 and 3 in their last 10. They find themselves in second place, 2 points ahead of Edmonton, meaning if you're a Kings fan, you're also kind of... Are you rooting for Vegas tonight so you can get further ahead of Edmonton, or are you rooting for Edmonton so you can get within 5 points of Vegas? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, including your picks for tonight. A 10-game slate can be busy, but let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.